Hello and welcome to Lewisburg Community TV, and welcome to Tertulia TV.
A bookshop like no other.
This is week 3 and you're very welcome to our shop at home in our school in Oheny. This week we've got 2 lovely authors who have kindly recorded some videos for us. One is Rachael English, her book The Paper Bracelet, which we mentioned last week. Rachael is a broadcaster in RTE and we will have known her from the news, various different programmes and Morning Ireland where she is a presenter. It's her 5th book, so it's on my pile to read and she's going to be reading from that. Also we have Hegarty from the Boot series, who tells us a little bit about his inspiration, about writing and how that might help kids at this moment in time, and he reads a bit from his book. This week we had some virtual book club meetings. Neil, what was going on?
Well, we had our book club choice, which was we had a Zoom meeting, and it was This Is Happiness by Niall Williams, which we all pretty much agreed that was one of the best books we've read in a while, and hopefully we'll have Niall into the bookshop at some stage in the future.
And you had book club discussions from your science fiction book club.
Well, we didn't quite get round to having a Zoom meeting just yet, but we did just to discuss slightly Stephen Baxter's book, The Raft, which was our last month's book choice. And this month we have Leviathan Wakes, James S.A. Corey's book, which is going to be my reading material for the next few weeks.
And we started the science fiction book club because we have a science fiction corner from Neil's work on movies like
I worked
Aliens.
on Aliens and on Event Horizon, which people seem to find pretty good films. So yeah, that was part of the reason why we started the Sci-Fi Book Club.
Okay, so up next we have
Rachael English.
Yeah.
Who's going to be reading from
The Paper Bracelet.
Over to you, Rachael.
Hello to Lewisburg Community Television and to Tertulia Books. Hopefully all the bookshops will be open again before too long. I'm going to read a little piece from my current book, The Paper Bracelet. Here it is. And while most of the book tells the story of a woman who's trying to find children who were born in a mother and baby home when she worked there back in the early 1970s, part of the book is set in that mother and baby home, a fictional home called Carrickbrack. And the main character in those parts of the book is called Patricia. And I'm going to read this little piece from a section where Patricia and her friend Winnie are working in the garden, and it's a hot day and the nun who's in charge of them has gone inside, but she's about to return. When she wasn't chewing or teasing Patricia, Winnie was singing to herself. After Sabina returned, she continued. While her friend wasn't especially tuneful, Patricia thought she recognised the mountains of Mourne. How many times do you have to be told to work in silence? Asked the nun. We're not allowed to talk, said Winnie. Nobody told us not to sing. I'm telling you. Grand so, said Winnie, who hummed instead. Sabina walked towards her. You're determined to cause trouble, aren't you? Not really. We've had some cheap straps in here, but you're among the worst of them. I've always thought that some girls are led astray and others, God help them, are abused. But the likes of you, you're pure bad. If I had my way, you'd be kept in here indefinitely. Patricia wondered if Sabina genuinely believed this. If so, what had happened to sour her view of human nature and strip her of empathy? Yes, Winnie could be cheeky, but she was also as kind as the day was long. She'd been the first to support Jacinta, a girl she didn't particularly like. Winnie stood up. Hold on. Sabina was warming to her theme. You're a disgrace to your family. No wonder they threw you out. Mind you, they've questions to answer themselves. If they'd made any attempt to teach you right from wrong, you'd still be above in Sligo studying your books. Now do as you're told. Again, Winnie looked like she wanted to say something. Instead, she paused, stuck out her chin, and began to sing. I believe that when writing a wish you express. She faltered, and for what felt like an agonisingly long time, there was silence. Patricia looked at her friend. There were tears in her eyes, a reminder that for all her bravado, she was only 16. Patricia stood and finished the line. as to how the fine ladies in London are dressed. From the other side of the garden, a third girl joined them. Well, if you'll believe me when asked to a ball. And then a fourth. They don't wear no tops to their dresses at all. By the time they'd reached the final line, all 8 workers were singing. That's enough, said Sabina with a brisk clap of her hands. In fact, that's more than enough. I want you all to get back to work, except you, Winnie. You're coming inside with me. Patricia didn't know many songs, and most of those she did know were religious. But the warmth of the day and the nastiness of Sabina's words had combined to create a restive atmosphere. This was no time to give up. She cleared her throat and began. When boyhood's fire was in my blood, I read of ancient freemen, for Greece and Rome who bravely stood, 300 men and 3 men. Once more Winnie and the others joined in. That only a couple of them had strong voices didn't matter. When they all came together, they sounded formidable. Sabina hadn't bargained for mass insubordination. You'll stop that racket, she said, and you'll stop it immediately. Do you hear? Emboldened, they sang on. Their repertoire was short, but varied. After A Nation Once Again, they tried Daydream Believer. This segued into Hey Jude, which somehow led to Unpuck Erbwilla. Here they were, cut off from the rest of the world, with no audience but themselves, their voices lifting and soaring. They sang with spirit and exuberance, and occasionally they even sang in tune. When they forgot the words, they la-la-la'd. When a girl paused for breath, another took over. At one point, Patricia's baby delivered an almighty kick, but still she sang. They were a ragtag bunch, their stomachs swelling against their ugly uniforms, their hair tied up in top knots, their faces pink from heat and exertion. They'd been assaulted, abandoned, discarded, left in the lurch. They'd been branded, insulted and punished. They were sluts, tramps, whores, fallen women. Their babies would be taken from them without consideration or permission. And still they sang.
Thanks, Rachel. That was brilliant.
So a book review from this week I'm going to go through is a book by Catherine Sanderson, The Bystander Effect, The Psychology of Courage and Inaction, and it was reviewed by James McConaughey in this week's Sunday Times. It was based on an incident in New York, which I do remember from the 90s, where a woman was murdered in the middle of New York and nobody did anything about it. People walked by. So this is what she's calling the bystander effect. So it's relevant to today's world and what we're doing by staying at home, the action we're all taking by staying at home. So that's why I'm just going to read a bit about it. She pertains that when danger is clear, we act. But in morally ambiguous situations, we first look to see what others are doing. And to a degree, we did that here by waiting to see what Italy were doing, Spain were doing. Eventually, we did actually take our own action. But it's anonymity that makes the difference to when we take action. And she calls this the bystander effect. So for those who speak up and aren't bystanders, she calls them moral rebels. So typically, she reckons that they are extroverts, confident in their own judgment, people who will risk looking stupid, feeling embarrassed, or experiencing social backlash. So an example is if you hesitate in telling someone that they have spinach in their mouth, you risk being a bystander. But here's the good news. She reckons we can be trained to act. And she tells the story of a flight just after 9/11 when the pilot came over and said, the doors are now closed and we have no help from anyone else. If a hijacker appears, the pilot recommended to everyone that they have to stand up and attack him with blankets and pillows. With that message, what's quite important, even though it's a bit strange, attacking them with blankets and pillows, is that the pilot created a sense of personal responsibility. He created a plan of action and critically an inclusive in-group and maintained we only have each other now. So it seems that now with this action that we're all taking, that we have all become moral rebels. And more than ever, I think as we emerge from this, how do we keep this going? How do we maintain our sense of the fact that now we are we? We have personal responsibility, but we're also caring about the we, the people in our country, the people in the world. And for us maybe to think, what will we do differently after this, personally and together, collectively, as a country and as a country in the wider world. So it looks like a fascinating book. I'm really looking forward to getting
Me
in the
too.
shop when we can order it. Okay, so
And we're something over a bit lighter now, and we're going to go to Shane Hegarty, who's going to be talking about his inspiration for his books, The Boot.
Hello. I hope you're all doing okay in these very strange days. Hello to everyone at Tertulia TV. My name is Shane Hegarty. I'm a children's writer, and I'm talking to you from my attic because I'm stuck at home, like so many people at the moment, and hoping that maybe the young readers out there and the older readers are finding a bit of escapism through books, or even telling stories or writing stories, which is a great way to kind of escape in your head, or sometimes just to write down what's happening, to give them a sense of both of kind of stuff to remember, but also a way of trying to understand it and process what's strange experience we're all going through. So I am at the moment, or sitting here in my attic, writing children's stories, and the stories I've written so far include Darkmouth, which is a series all about a reluctant monster hunter in the last town in Ireland where legends of myth still invade. And most recently, these books, Boot, which are the stories of a toy robot who wakes up in a grinder about to be mashed into a million pieces, and with only 2.5 memories, sets off to find its owner. And these are stories of adventure and excitement with jokes in them and scary bits and heart and drama and cliffhangers. I love a cliffhanger in a book. And they're very much, I suppose I was very much influenced all the way through my writing career by the books that I read when I was younger, which young people read now, still, likes of Roald Dahl, The Chronicles of Narnia. I'm even, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was a book I read when I was a bit older, which I still recommend as being one of the funniest, most profound books ever written. And this particular book, The Rusty Rescue, the latest of the Boot books, was actually inspired by a memory I had of being in England in the Dyson factory probably about 10 years ago now, or longer. And I looked in a room and I saw a robot hand which had one job, and its only job was to close and open a washing machine door over and over and over again to see how long it would break. Close it, open it, close it, open it, close it. You get the gist. And that was its only job, just to test that washing machine door to see how long it would last. And when I came to writing The Rusty Rescue, I thought, imagine being that robot. And strangely enough, this robot, Rusty, is trapped indoors for a long time with only one job to do, and there's no chance to get out, no chance to see anything in the outside world. So what it sort of sounds quite familiar to us right now, doesn't it? So I just thought I'd read a little bit where Boot and Boot's indestructible old-fashioned friend, robot friend Noak, go in search of a nose for their friend, their robot friend. Now, I like a lot of grown-up books and a lot of literary novels, but very few of those start with the line, as my book does, "The trouble started when Jerry's nose fell off." And that is the joy of writing for young people. You get to have a bit of fun. The corridor we landed in was lined with rooms, each of which had a window. There was a sign above each door. The one nearest to us said, "Testing room 99, kitchen appliances." Stretching as tall as I could on my little legs, I peered through the window and saw a very strange sight. It was a kitchen, much bigger than the one in Beth's home. There was a cooker and a fridge, a microwave and a blender, a dishwasher and a sink, all arranged along a black countertop. And it was filled with robots, like the ones we'd seen outside. They were of different sizes and shapes and materials, and each of them had a flaw of some sort. One robot twitched and glitched every few seconds, spitting sparks from its mouth. Another was missing a foot and rested on the frayed wires exposed at its ankle. But each of them had a job to do, just one job. One opened the fridge door and closed it again, then again and again. Another lifted a frying pan on and off the stove, flipping an imaginary pancake each time. A robot whirred a blender for a few seconds, let it calm, and then whirred it again. One boiled a kettle, another turned a tap on and off and on and off, and ping! A robot opened a microwave door. Beside each robot were counters ticking over each time the robot did their job. The microwave had gone ping, 102,991 times already. Bing! 102,992. This place is even weirder than I imagined, said Noak, joining me at the window. And I can imagine really weird things. So there you go. So I'm writing the third book at the moment, Creaky Creatures, all about robot pets, because you can have whatever pet you want, robot dinosaur, robot unicorn, robot octopus, you name it, and having good fun and trying as much as possible to use this to escape the world that's just outside me there, or rather into the world just outside me there where we can't go at the moment. So best of luck to everybody, and have fun creating, reading, or doing whatever it is you enjoy doing to just escape while we're all trapped indoors.
Thanks, Shane. That was brilliant.
And next week we have Henrietta McKervey, who is a Belfast author living in Dublin. Her new book, The Talented Man, is just coming out this week, and she's going to be reading from that book and telling us about her inspiration. And also I'm going to do what I'm calling a bite-sized philosophy bit, so just something a bit different. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much, and goodbye, and goodbye from Taz.